Hi everybody, this is Joe Salvamini, principal at Carlson Home Hospital School, and I'd like to welcome you to the Supplemental Teacher Orientation video, Part 2, and this one is specifically on how students are assigned. Every week you are going to be getting anywhere from 3 to 5 different lists. We call them the Waiting for Teacher list. These are students whose referrals have just come in to us, and I am now looking for just the right teacher for that student. And the list may have, as few as 1 or 2 students on it, or it may have 20 or 30 students on it. And the list doesn't have the student's name, nor does it have their address or phone number. However, it does have information that will give you enough information to where you would look at that student and say, you know what, I think that I'm just the right teacher for that student. The list will include information like the Carlson student ID number, the school of attendance for the student, as well as the school of residence. It'll have the zip code, the medical diagnosis for the student, as well as what we call notes for the teacher, because there may be some additional things that I want you to know about this student before you so this way you can make an informed request. And then it'll have the student's medical expiration date, and that basically is the date that the doctor told us that the student can stay with us until. And then also what classes the student is going to be in with Carlson, so that this way you'll know that this is a subject I teach, or this is not a subject that I'm even anywhere good in, and etc., etc. Okay, now how do you request a student? When I send out the list to you, it will already have a title on this, on the subject title. The subject title will say something like 7/24/12, July 24th, 2012, waiting for teacher list. Now when you reply to me, then what you need to do is that you just need to hit the reply button. Do not change the title of the subject line. Do not do anything else with that subject line, just press reply. And the reason for that is that when, I probably get 40 or 50 emails a day at least, at a minimum, just on teachers requesting students. And if they all have the same subject line, then it highlights it all for me, and I know I can hit every single one of those requests. If you don't click reply, then it's very possible that you're not going to be considered, when I decide which teacher is the best student for the best teacher for the student. In your reply, you always want to make sure that you say a few things. Tell me which student ID number we're talking about. Is it student 10-759 or is it 11-759? Let me know exactly who it is. Also say something else about the student, so this way I know that we're talking about the same student. For example, I'm interested in student 10-794 who's from Hamilton High School and is an 11th grader. And we went one ahead. And anyway, then also the most important thing is for you to explain to me why you believe you're the right teacher for that student. But you always, always, always want to make sure that you tie in your credentials with why you're instructionally the best teacher for this child. I ultimately make the decisions, or another administrator at Carlson ultimately makes the decision, but you want to make sure that we have the full load of information on you and why you're the best teacher. Okay, examples of a good, or actually an example of a bad reply would be, I think I'm a good match for this student, for student 10-343, because I like kids and I know we're going to get along just great. That doesn't tell me anything, and I can guarantee you, you will not be assigned to that student. However, if you tell me something like, I think I'm the best teacher for student number 10-343 because the student is at Eastman Elementary School. I have a history at Eastman Elementary School. I used to be a teacher there, or I am a teacher there now. I'm a fourth grade teacher. The student is in fourth grade. I have multiple subject credentials, and then you can give me other information like, I currently have 2 students, which I know is the maximum amount of students I can have. However, one of my students, Laura, is L-ing out tomorrow, and I will now have room for an additional child. Okay, that would be a good request. Okay, now as far as how assignments are made, if I send the request out on, or I send the waiting for teacher list out on July 24th, I make my decisions on July 25th, usually. I want to be clear, this is not on a first come, first served basis. It's always centered around who is the best candidate, who is the best teacher for a specific student. Another thing I want to just make sure that you know as a supplemental teacher, that you're aware that the 25 or 30 of the contracted home teachers that I have, they're full-time home teachers, they are paid as worked. Meaning, if they don't have a full load of students, a full caseload of students, they don't get a full salary. You, on the other hand, are already getting a full, full salary, in your present assignment, and your supplemental work with Carlson is in addition. And the other thing I want to say is, under no circumstances are you ever to encourage a parent to request you as a teacher, or to interfere with my need to make sure that students are appropriately assigned to teachers. Once you're assigned the student, then you will get an email from me, and the email will say something like, "Congratulations, you've been assigned to student 10-343. Please call your rep in the morning, your Carlson rep in the morning." And then, now the other thing I want to say, when you do the assignment, or excuse me, when you request a student, if you have room or you want 1 student, but you see 3 or 4 students on that list who would fit the bill for you, meaning that you believe you're the right teacher for for those students, then it is certainly okay for you to put in your name for each of those students, and you can say, I am requesting 1 student, but I believe that I'm the perfect teacher for any of these 4 students, and you can tell me why. Okay. Now the other thing I want to say also is that the administrator may also independently, if I know that you happen to be the perfect teacher for a given student, but you have not requested the student, I may still give you a phone call or email you and tell you that you're assigned to that student anyway. Okay, medical expiration dates. Most of our students have a medical expiration date, which is purely and simply the date that the doctor said that the student needs to be with us until. Now, it's very important that about 2 to 3 weeks prior to the expiration date, if the parent believes and you believe that the child would still qualify for Carlson services, then you want to make sure that the parent receives either the home medical referral or the psychiatric referral, so that this way the parent can get the doctor to refill it out, so that if the doctor feels that the student still qualifies for Carlson, that the student we can get that paperwork in before the expiration date, so that this way you may continue working with that student uninterrupted. I do want to make clear that once that expiration date has occurred, then you are no longer authorized to work with that student unless you've heard from Carlson. If you continue to work with the student, then you are doing so voluntarily. Okay, and is that it? And once your time with the student has ended, then you must then go through the discharge paperwork, which we will get into in another video. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.